All right, it's time to talk with our featured guest, Michael McCoy. Mike, how's it going?
Good, Mike. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Nice. No, we appreciate it. If you can start off by telling us a little bit about your past, your present, how did you get to where you are today?
Sure. I've been in dental for 11 years now. Kind of funny. I come from a dental background or dental family, rather.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, I'm a dentist because my dad or mom was a dentist or my grandpa or my uncle or whatever. My dad was a dental salesman. I just kind of grew up watching what he did and watching his lifestyle. And that's kind of what helped me move into the dental world from the beginning. He's actually still in the industry too. And we're actually partnered with my GPO and his company, which is funny. So I started in dental 11 years ago. I started as a local territory manager for a company called Komet USA. It's a rotary manufacturer. 7 years with them, worked in all different capacities from local territory management up to supporting all the dental schools and public health across the US and Canada. From there, I went and worked for Align Technologies or Invisalign. Just a little over 2 years with them, supporting local practices in Boston to help them implement Invisalign and scanning into their practices. And then from there, I've always felt like there was more I wanted to do within the dental world. And I always felt like there was more value that I could add to the practices that I work with. So from there, I decided to start Dental Collective, which is a group purchasing organization. And I started it kind of at the end of 2023, or at least that's when the ideas started to turn into something tangible. So now up to today, I've been full-time with Dental Collective since March. So we're just about 1 year in. Again, it's a group purchasing organization. So basically what we do is we help independent dental practices or small group practices get the same pricing and some of the same benefits that large scale DSOs get. That's kind of the gist of what we do. We are 10 or 11 months full time. We're a group of about 140 practices across the US, and we're partnered with about 52 or 53 top tier companies across the industry.
Okay, man. So if we can rewind a little bit, what's your dad's company?
He's a dental sales journeyman, I would say. He's currently VP of sales and marketing for a company called BioClear, which is a composite matrix system that's gaining a lot of traction. It's actually a really cool little company. But before that, he worked for companies like Komet USA and Brasseler and Patterson and Benco, a bunch of other ones. You know, I grew up kind of like seeing burrs around the house. I thought I was going to be a professional baseball player. I thought I was going to be like the next shortstop for the New York Yankees about 12 to 15 years ago now. But I'm happy with the path that I've gone into and the fact that I now have a dental company in this space. It's pretty cool.
That's interesting. So then you went with Comet and then Align. With those two companies, what were some things you saw where you're like, I love this. If I ever start my own thing, my own business, I love the systems they're implementing. And then what were some things that you felt were, if I ever did have my own business, I don't think I would ever do that?
So both companies start with quality first. That is something I've taken into consideration every time I choose a vendor partner, is that quality matters over anything else, including the cost that they're willing to offer our members. So they both stood on the quality product and services that they offer. They're very different and they taught me so much. Komet USA was way more transactional. You know, I'd walked into a dental practice for the first time and sell them 20 packs of diamonds or carbides on the spot and then see them again in 2.5 months. You know, but that started my just knowledge base into the world of dentistry on the clinical side of things, understanding what products to use for crown and bridge or for veneer preps or to trim, you know, soft relam material or whatever it is, right? So I got a good general understanding of just being in dentistry and how to talk to a dentist. And then I transitioned over to Align Technologies, which way more of a consultative type of sales position.
Mm-hmm.
You really kind of partner with your practices and it feels like you're an extension of their team because of how involved and how invested you are into helping their practice grow. So that was really fun. And that got me into the world of technology and orthodontics and all kinds of stuff like that. Both experiences totally different from one another, but they really have helped me shape how I operate Dental Collective today. The negative sides to those, as somebody who's always wanted to be an entrepreneur, part of that is because you don't really believe in how things are run in the first place. Or you've got a sense of independence where you might think that something should be done one way, but you're being forced to do something another way. The other thing is all these companies dictate how much you can make. They dictate your numbers. And even though they may not have the best sense of what's actually happening in the territory you work, they're going to tell you how many birds you need to sell, or they're going to tell you how many scanners you need to sell, regardless of what's actually happening with the practices that you work very close to it. For me, it was just, there's more that I can do for practices than just sell this product or that product to them. And there's a better way to go about supporting these practices that are like truly unselfish. And it's just all about creating better opportunities for these practices that we work with.
I like that, man. So then let's kind of hone in on this purchasing organization, right? Many practice owners believe that group purchasing organization is only beneficial sometimes for massive DSOs. Some don't believe that, right? It just depends. But what's the biggest, would you say, misconception about who actually gets the best deals?
Who actually gets the best deals are the larger groups because of the purchasing power that they do have. And I know that because I've worked for the companies that create their deals this way. It's all based on volume spend and the thoughts that if we offer you this rate, you're going to send more of your business our way. For me as a Komet rep, for instance, I'd walk into Dr. Smith's independent practice and have to charge them one rate, or I'd walk into big conglomerate dental practice right next door, and I'd have the opportunity to offer them a totally different rate. And that's happening all across the country in all different industries. But it just made me think, like, why aren't we supporting Dr. Smith the same way? He's offering the same procedures, same services, and oftentimes with potentially a higher quality of care just because of the way that they're able to connect with their patients in their local communities the way that these independent practices do. This is just an opportunity for Dr. Smith to get the same pricing that big conglomerate gets next door, regardless of the volume. And that's what this is all about. You need one pack of diamonds, one pack of carbides. You're going to get that same bulk price that office that's ordering 1,000 packs is going to get, or whatever that price is that we have negotiated with each of those different companies that we're partnered with.
Gotcha. Okay. So then what's the single biggest mistakes practice owners make when trying to compare pricing between GPOs and individual vendor negotiations?
One of the biggest issues is when they go and try to do their own negotiating, these companies don't have any obligation to actually offer them like that same rate that we get. I physically sign a contract with these companies that state you have to offer your product or service at this price, which is a steep negotiated price for our members. So if you're Dr. Smith and you're just saying, hey, I don't want to pay this full price, give me something, a rep may have the opportunity to shave off 10%, 15%, whatever it is, but that might just be for that order. Or they'll throw in a buy get or something like that to help decrease that cost. But if you want consistency and not have to hunt for promotions all the time, we've already done the negotiating for you. So you can go to all these different supply houses, websites, and compare the 3M Filtech composite price. Or you can go to a GPO who's already done the negotiating for you. And once you join, you just automatically get that better price.
Break it down for me, Mike, if you can. Like I'm a third grader. Group purchasing organization is what?
Yep. It's a way for a group of practices to leverage buying power in the most general term. So instead of you being viewed as one of one dental office, you join a group like mine. Now you're viewed as one of 100 practices or one of 200 practices. And your pricing reflects that. So instead of just being on this island by yourself, you're now a part of this community, but that community has benefits and bulk discounts across the board on everything in your practice. We don't have any ownership in your practice whatsoever. It's almost like getting a Costco membership. You join Costco, that gives you the opportunity to go into that store and buy everything at bulk pricing. And that's exactly how it is with us. You join, and no matter what company is a part of our vendor portfolio, you can feel confident knowing that you're going to get that bulk price moving forward. No questions asked. No more hassling or negotiating on your end.
Gotcha. So it's like a Costco.
It's like a dentistry's Costco, much smaller company than Costco.
But I like that. Okay, so then for a solo practice, at what monthly spending level does group purchasing actually start making a difference in profitability?
It's hard to say exactly. I mean, what I'll say is the first thing we can do is cut costs. And for my members in 2024, typically about 10 to 50K back in their pocket, depending on which companies and processes they utilized or tapped into. And cutting costs is just one step of the process. The other thing we want to do is help them streamline their operations or improve their workflows and inevitably increase the profitability of their practice. Yeah, we're going to cut your costs, but we can do a lot of other things to help you transition your practice into a healthier space. So for some examples, offices are moving towards digital dentistry. We can help you do that way more affordably than you would otherwise be able to do. And that takes a lot of capital expenditure to do that. Whether it's you want to go into 3D printing or milling your own crowns, or you want to add intraoral scanners into your practice, whatever it is, right? We're going to have that bulk discount across the board on all that stuff to help you transition to that space. Another one of the biggest challenges and pain points in dentistry is dealing with insurance companies.
Hmm.
Dentists are getting less and less back in their pocket for doing the exact same work. So we've got a company in place that will go and negotiate your reimbursement rates back from your insurance companies, which still to this day, that's something that a lot of independent dental offices don't know as a service that's available to you. So let us get you connected with some of the best companies across the industry that are really going to help you lean out your practice and make you a more profitable practice. So there's a lot more than just the cost saving aspect that goes into this. And I think that my time spent with Align and being that consultative type of salesperson really carried over into this role now. And I really do become kind of a product and service consultant to our members to help them transition their practice into a better space.
Are there any restrictions that limit who they can buy from? Or is it like once you join this is it? You can't go outside of this group? Or
you can still order from whoever you want, but we have contracts in place with specific companies across the industry, right? We do a lot of interviewing to determine which companies we're going to add to our vendor portfolio. I mentioned earlier, like we start with the quality of product or service first. If you do decide, hey, I'm looking into a new patient management software, our members know that, hey, it's probably a good opportunity for me to do a demo with CareStack. They're a part of Dental Collective's community. I can trust that that's going to be a really good product and I'm going to get a good price for it. There's that. But at the end of the day, I don't want to restrict our members on anything. You run your practice, you have full autonomy. You just know and you have peace of mind that if you do come into our community, if you utilize any of our companies, you're going to get a better price than you would have gotten independently.
Gotcha. Okay. So then what are the key checklists that you look into when it comes to, let's just say practice management software, right? Comparing to other practice management softwares, do y'all sit down together and have a meeting, or how does that look?
I get demos from just about everybody, right? That's the best way for me to determine, okay, what does this look like? And I'm not the expert on hardly anything. I totally rely on my vendor partners to sell everything, support the practice the way that they are designed to do. My job is just to ensure that what is coming into our community is quality and there is good support from the company and they provide good service. Those are the things I look at. So when I do my demos, maybe it's not the absolute best and most easy use, but I can trust that what this company is going to provide my members looks good on our name, because at the end of the day, that does come back to us. Anybody that's in our vendor portfolio or within our vendor community, we're putting our name on that. So I want to ensure that our customers are going to have a good experience working with them. And so far, that's what we've seen. A lot of really great companies that offer incredible support across the board. And that leads to a lot of happy members that are part of the group. We do have 52, 53, something like that, companies that support us. When somebody joins, we do kind of a consultation with them, because what I want to do is find out, how can my group best fit the needs for your practice, right? Because not two practices are going to be exactly the same. They're going to have different needs, different pain points, things like that. So what I do is I spend time with that practice owner or office manager, whoever makes those decisions within the office. And I want to find out just about your practice. How do you operate? How big's your practice? What are your biggest challenges or your biggest pain points? Are you having challenges with reimbursement rates? Are you having staffing complications? Are you spending too much on your supplies? Are you looking to go digital? Whatever the case may be. And then what we do is we take a step back and say, okay, based on the needs of your practice and the priorities of your practice, these are the companies that make the most sense for you to connect with first. So let's cut your costs by using Dental City as your main supplier. Let's have Apex negotiate your reimbursement rates. And let's get you connected with Toothio, because they're going to create a better staffing platform for your practice so you can ensure that you've got high quality hygienists and assistants in place when you need them for every single shift. So that's kind of where we start. And then we've got all these other ancillary partners that, as needs arise within the practice, they know they can fall back on that, and that will help push the practice along as well.
Gotcha. So then let's say, for example, someone is trying to go cloud-based, right? What would the needs need to be for someone to say, hey, CareStack is the one for you, or not?
If I ask about their experience with their existing patient management software, basically what I ask is, do you love it? And if the answer is no, we dive in a little bit deeper. What don't you like about it? Well, it's on the server. I want something cloud-based, or it's pretty limited in what it can do, or it's clunky. It's not that user-friendly, whatever the case may be. And with me, now that I've got this pretty good relationship with CareStack, I just have a better understanding on everything that it offers and how it has all their own proprietary softwares built into it. And instead of having to also go pay for a patient communication platform, or pay for e-forms, or pay for this and that and this that's utilized in the front of house of the dental practice, I know that they can go to this one company that's going to bundle everything together. And that's one of the biggest drawing factors that I had to CareStack, and why I specifically chose to partner with them.
Interesting. I like that. It kind of like condenses and, you know what I mean? Under one roof kind of a deal. Nice. I
Yeah.
like that. So then if we can talk a little bit about like the financial impact of group purchasing, what's the most underrated expense category that group purchasing reduces, but practice owners kind of rarely consider?
I would say like financing fees. So that can be two different things, right? It can be third party processing fees, or it could be your credit card merchant fees. Those two things alone, I mean, we have an office that we're saving $1,000 a month in just their patients tapping their credit card on their POS system. Now that's $12,000 back to the practice this year. And the thing is, they were using the exact same company, but we were able to renegotiate their processing fees for them to get them a much better rate. So they're using the exact same system they were using before, but now they're keeping $1,000 in their pockets per month. And in that third party processing, we're partnered with a company called Cherry. Really incredible partnership. And that's one of the most popular ones because there's no cost to start your relationship with Cherry. They send you all the marketing you need, all the materials you need, the technology you need to get it going. And then their processing rates, because we've negotiated that bulk processing rate, you're going to get the same processing fees that big DSO down the street's getting. So we're going to help you decrease your processing fees. So anytime a patient wants to move forward with treatment through Cherry, you're not going to be paying as much out of pocket, but your case acceptance is going to go up in your practice.
So it's a lot of vetting that you guys have to do. Has there ever been a time where multiple practice owners are like, hey, Mike, can we negotiate more down deeper with like Sherry or another product? You know, they kind of want a bigger discount or more savings. And then you guys have to go back and renegotiate. Does that happen?
So a lot of these things, a lot of our relationships are built around the buying power that our group has. And our contracts are built on that. So the beautiful thing about this, we've got this amazing foundation built with Dental Collective and the companies that are already here ready to support your practice. So the more practices we get that are part of our group, the more our buying power increases. And the more our buying power increases, that gives me the opportunity and my partner the opportunity to go back to our vendor partners and say, hey, instead of 30%, we want 40% off on your product or whatever the case may be. And we do come from the vendor side of things. So I understand what that relationship's supposed to look like between us and the companies that we're partnered with. Because of that, there's just a lot of open dialogue and a lot of trust between our company and theirs, which gives us some additional wiggle room, right? So if somebody does come to us and say, hey, we would love if you guys added this or that into the portfolio, that's something that we can go up and do. Or if they love one of the companies we're working with, but they want us to see if we can get something customized for them, that's another thing that we can go and do, and something that we have done and continue to do so for our members. So it kind of makes me think of, in the DSO world, you do have somebody that's essentially me that works for these companies, and this is what they do. They go and create these partnerships and they negotiate pricing on behalf of all their members. So for the independent dental practice, that's how you utilize me. You now have your own procurement manager that does all these negotiating and building these contracts for your practice. We do really listen to our members. So if there's certain partnerships that we are missing, we want to hear that. What can we do? How can we make this a better community for you guys? And they tell us, and we go out, we hunt the market, and we try to find a partnership that fits whatever that hole is for our group.
So then if a dentist isn't seeing cost savings within 6 months of joining a GPO, what's likely going wrong?
What's likely happening is that practice isn't that willing to make any changes within their practice. Or they get used to purchasing from one supplier and they're not willing to make a change in that area. The other thing that happens is communication is certainly a challenge in every industry. So maybe they're unaware of all the partnerships that we have available to them. And that's one thing that we run into, right? We're constantly sending out different emails and saying, hey, these are the companies that we just added. This is what the offering looks like. We've got this great member portal that's available to everybody that shows them all the companies we're partnered with, what the discount looks like, how to access that discount, who to talk to from that company, how to book demos, how to submit for equipment purchase and repair requests, all kinds of stuff in this member portal. But if they don't see that message come across from us and they're unaware of that, then they feel like the group is limited. So that's one of the biggest challenges that we have, is just making sure everybody's aware of all that is available to them and all these different cost savings opportunities that are actually there and accessible to that practice.
Always staying on top of mind. Like if we're signed up with Dental Collective, making sure I'm opening those emails, looking at everything, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah. And it's so obvious the offices and members that are most engaged, those are the ones that are saving the most. There's nothing better than adding a new partnership or us renegotiating rates or whatever it is, sending out an email stating that that just happened. And then us getting an email from one of our members being like, yes, I'm so excited to hear about this or that partnership. Or I just booked a demo with this company or that company. I'm looking forward to our consultation. That's when I realized this is working. This is a valuable thing for people. And I wish everybody could be as engaged and involved as our top 20%. At the end of the day, we've built this community around just supporting those practices that truly want to be a part of it. One thing with that is we will never make you sign like a contract. There's no term that you need to be with us. You don't need to stay with us for a year. It's on a month-to-month basis. And if it works out for your practice, that's what we hope for every single one of our members. And if it doesn't, I'd love the opportunity to talk to you more and let's do another consultation to determine why this isn't working for you. But if it's not, you're welcome to go.
Yeah. I like that. Okay. So then for a practice owner or dentist who's never used a GPO before, what's the first 5-step checklist they should follow before signing up?
I don't know that there's a checklist. First off, I think every independent dental practice should be a part of a GPO. There's no reason you're not. There's a lot of us out there now, and we have different vendor mixes and we have different cost structures and we've got different negotiated pricing. And there's no harm in being involved in multiple GPOs. So in some capacity, join a GPO because you will reduce costs in your practice. I think it's on average about 30% cost savings to your practice if you join. Mm-hmm. So there's not even really a checklist. I mean, I guess the checklist is, do you feel like you're paying too much for your supplies? Do you have pain points in your practice related to products or services? Do you have staffing complications? Whatever it is, everybody's checklist is going to lead them to the answer being join a GPO.
I know you mentioned it's month to month, no contracts or anything, but there are some where you do have to pay for a long term. So what should a practice owner look for in the GPO contract when it comes to fine print, like to avoid getting locked into anything they're unhappy with? They're like, hey, we lost some companies. That's the whole reason I signed up for this GPO. And now you're not working with them, kind of a thing. So what are some things you'd recommend we do?
One is just look for transparency in the group. One thing that we do is all of our pricing is right on our website. We've got 3 different buckets. We've got an independent practice bucket, we got a multi-practice bucket, and we've got an enterprise practice bucket. Pricing's right there. So make sure you know your pricing, and there shouldn't be too much fluctuation in the group that you join. And then, find out if there is an exit clause. For us, it's month to month, but some of them are year-long contracts and potentially longer than that. So just make sure that aligns with what you're looking for in the group that you join. Some groups are more hands-on and require more out of the members. So just be aware of that. Other groups will charge based on production goals with the practice or production driven to the practice. Just make sure that you know how much you're actually paying into this GPO or that group to be a part of it.
It's interesting to see that. Have you ever seen cases where joining a GPO actually cost practice money instead of saving them? And if so, what went wrong?
I have not seen that yet. I'm trying to wrap my head around how that could happen. And that's got to be a one-off scenario where they go and buy a piece of equipment or something. And I don't know, that's unlikely.
Or it's like uncompatible. They went with the deal and then they're like, oh, we never even looked at the back end of it to see if it works with our systems. And gotcha. Can people join multiple GPOs?
We'll never restrict that if you're a part of other groups. We've got plenty of members that are part of other groups and they tap into our network because of certain partnerships that we have that their existing group doesn't. So honestly, as long as you can see the ROI from the amount of groups that you're part of, I don't see any issues with doing so.
Gotcha. So then being that there are multiple ones, right, in GPOs, guide us through this process if you can, Mike. What are the red flags of a GPO that isn't actually benefiting its members, but is just profiting off of them?
I kind of like the GPO landscape where it is right now. For the most part, these people that have started these GPOs have started the GPOs with the intent to just help dental practices reduce their overhead costs, right? So I don't know of any GPOs out there that are there to rip you off. We're actually trying to do the exact opposite. I feel pretty confident saying that across the board. That's not a practice that's happening, at least that I'm aware of.
That's awesome. Wonderful to hear. Yeah. So then I know we talked about this a little bit right now, but let's dive into the advanced strategies, maximizing the profit beyond just the discounts. And I know a lot of the times we think of a group purchasing organization only in terms of supplies and equipment, but how can it be leveraged for services like marketing, software, insurance, or staffing solutions?
I want to take a very comprehensive approach to building this GPO. It's mostly because of the years of calling on dental practices. And I just learned a lot about what products and services they're offering, what their challenges are, just everything that's going into that practice. So basically, I wanted to create partnerships in every single space, well beyond supplies. So for us, we've got partnerships in business service space. So we've got payroll companies and bookkeeping companies and companies that'll negotiate your reimbursement rates for you. We've got distributors and we've got manufacturers underneath the distributors. We've got marketing companies. We've got IT companies. We've got dental labs. Every piece of technology and equipment you can kind of think of in the industry. We've got a partnership there. We've got staffing, right? So we've gone well beyond the supplies. We're negotiating contracted pricing from each of these things. If you want to look at a new marketing partner, we've got two awesome companies that support our members that I'm very confident in the service they're going to provide you, but you're also going to get a much better price than if you were just go and find them independently. Same thing with like our IT partner. And again, those third-party financing companies and the credit card processing. We've gone and found every little niche within the practice to create a partnership in that space to help you cut costs. So it's a fully comprehensive thing. But I think for our group, there's a couple of things that we really kind of focus on, right? So if you go into our member portal, there are a couple of things in there that we kind of highlight. Number one is going to be our complimentary procurement platform that's available to our members. And basically what we do with this is we tailor it to your practice and the products that you actually use in your practice. So for instance, say you use Patterson, Ultradent, Kettenbach, and Dental City. We load all the products that you use from those companies at your price onto that platform. So now Dr. Smith or ordering assistant or whoever can go to that one website to shop for everything that they need. What's nice about that is they're going to see, that 3M filled top composite. This is what the price is with our negotiated rate from Dental City versus this is what the price is with Patterson or whoever. Mm-hmm. So you'll be able to see item for item where you're going to get that better price. And it also just helps streamline your ordering because now you're going to one website to shop for everything you told us you wanted on that website. Supplies is kind of the biggest piece of the puzzle for GPOs. So that's why we've created that. And we've offered that at no cost to our members, which is really nice compared to what else is out there in the market. Next thing is going to be equipment and technology. Again, we've got partnerships in every single space, essentially underneath that umbrella. So we have on our portal is our members can go and submit for any equipment purchase. So we've got this form you can fill out, and whether it's a sensor, a 3D printer, a scanner, a mill, a compressor, handpiece, whatever, you can submit all that over to us. We outsource that to the company that we're partnered with that fills that service or that product at the best price to our member. Next thing is equipment repair. So this is kind of a big challenge because a handpiece goes down or a compressor goes down, autoclave goes down. Who do we go to for that? You submit all that right through us. We're partnered with a company that has partnerships with local technicians all across the country. This is Uptime Services. Local technicians all across the country that are going to offer you a better labor rate than what you're going to get otherwise if you're not a part of the group. The next thing, so we're partnered with Toothio for staffing, and you can access your staffing platform right from our portal. So if you need to book your hygienist or assistant for the day, you can go right to the Dental Collective portal, log into that right there. That company is awesome. Just the way that they allow you to customize what your needs are with that hygienist or assistant. And the coolest thing they do is they actually pay that professional within 30 minutes of their shift. So if you're a hygienist or assistant, it's a really awesome temp agency to get on the platform of. And then the last thing we're doing in a focused area on the portal is we're going to add a dental lab concierge. So we're going to have somebody dedicated to help understand what your practice needs are with a lab. So the services you're looking for, whether it's full service lab, it's removables, digital, whatever. You can submit all that information or have that conversation with our concierge, and they will help you understand which of our labs will best fit the needs and the price point that you're looking for to support your practice. So we're really trying to create a really comprehensive program to drive just a ton of value.
And it's different, I feel like, because there's people on your side, right? I want to say in Dental Collective who guide you through that whole process. Not so much like, hey, here's our thing and go have fun. Right. Check out the pricing and, you know what I mean? You're more like, hey, where are you at? Take you down this path and everything like that. And then this is how you're going to lead to success.
Exactly. Because it can be overwhelming otherwise. And there's however many companies that we're partnered with. A lot of times you don't know what they're doing or what they're offering to your practice or how they fit in. So that's kind of our space in all of this is tell me about your practice and let me help tailor this program to specifically fit what you need.
Man, Mike, I can't think of why wouldn't someone already be joining. Is there any reason why somebody wouldn't?
They're unaware of what GPOs are. Some people get stuck in their ways. They're worried about relationships that they have with existing vendors. But at the end of the day, there's so much here that every practice can benefit in some capacity, and you can absolutely hit the mark to hit your ROI being a part of a group like ours. But those are the biggest things. The biggest challenges we have is just educating the doctors. I'm still in a place because it's a 1-year-old company where I'm pulling on doors just about every single day and trying to introduce our brand to at least local offices around the area. And it's rare that we get time in front of the doctor or the decision maker to help them understand what this is and how this benefits their practice. So I think the education piece is one of the biggest factors.
So you're still going out on doors.
Yeah. That's what I know. That's what I've done for my whole dental career. At some point it'll transition away. It'll get to a place where I take on more of a consultative type of role, and I kind of fielding calls from our members or potential members and doing more virtual type meetings like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we are. We've got to create awareness for what we do. And some of the easiest ways to do that is actually get in front of the dentist and have those conversations.
Nice, man. So then what's the hope? Within 5 years from now, where do you kind of foresee this whole dental collective?
In 5 years from now, I'm hoping that we're supporting 500 plus practices across the country. I'd like to build out a way that we can better support larger, medium-sized groups as well. We'll continue to add vendor partners that make sense to strengthen our group. We'd like to get into the educational side of things. We've got so many great companies and so many great speakers that are within our community. So to be able to kind of bring that to light and bring that to a wider audience would be great. We've been adapting and adjusting throughout the entire first year. So I imagine that'll continue to happen, and we'll kind of adjust with the dental industry to continue to be something that's really valuable to the community, both on the offices that are a part of our group and the companies that trust in us to help support their company as well.
Gotcha. So one of the last questions I want to ask for practice owners who are thinking about joining a GPO after this episode, or maybe they have one and then it's different, right? What's the first small win they can achieve today?
The easiest thing is third-party financing. That's so easy. We can have your tier adjusted today. If you're an existing user of Cherry or you're just looking to decrease costs there, we can do that today. Next thing is supplies. I mean, the second you join Dental Collective, it takes about 24 hours and your updating pricing is ready to go. So you can buy the same exact products you bought today, but for about 30% less tomorrow. What I would love to come of this is just book a call with me. Let's talk about your practice. Have you been thinking about joining GPOs, or maybe this is the first time you've heard about it and you want to see if this actually makes an impact on your practice? Let's have a conversation and let's walk through what your needs are and see what we have that can support your practice.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. So if anyone has further questions, where can they find you?
So if you go to dental-collectives.com, in the About Us tab, you can actually book a consultation with me. We'll get the process started this week. And our phone number is right on there. Give me a call, shoot me a text. Again, we're really accessible and we're here to support your practice. This is what we do. This is what we're good at. And we're only a year in. We've got an awesome community already. So I just anticipate this getting even better and better, and us finding ways to provide even more value to the practices that we support.
So that's going to be in the show notes below. Definitely check it out. And Mike, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure, and we'll hear from you soon.
This was fun. Thanks, Mike.